My name is Jerome Miller, Jerome. Miller is Miller. I'm the Sports Services Lieutenant. I'm going to go over the fatality crash from 41 in Minnesota. It occurred yesterday, as you check with your previous news releases, at 11:50 a.m. This one was probably one of the larger or more vehicles involved collisions than we're certainly accustomed to dealing with. I handed out diagrams that was taken right off the back of the state accident report, and I also sent out a list that has the name with all the spellings and things of that nature. So I'll go through that and just read that rather quickly. And I guess I'll start off by the chain of events of the collision. North-south traffic had red light, so our northbound vehicles that were involved in this were at rest, but in traffic, and they were all in the far right hand or the outside lane of Minnesota Avenue, just south of 41st Street. The eastbound 41st Street people had a green light, and two of the involved vehicles were eastbound at the time. So prior to collision, the 1998 Buick Century, which ended up being vehicle number 4, was occupied one time, was stopped at the red light. Behind that was a 1991 Chevy pickup, vehicle number 3. Stopped behind that, actually on the other side of the driveway to the Taylor's Pantry gas station, was the 2001 Dodge Durango that was occupied 5 times. It was a husband, wife, and 3 kids. Call it vehicle number 1, there's a 1998 Chevy Blazer, was traversing northbound at a high rate of speed in the left-hand turn lane. It made a sudden swerve over into the far right-hand lane. That's when it struck the Dodge Durango, which pushed it into the Chevy pickup, which pushed it into the Buick Century, which pushed it out into the intersection of 41st Street, colliding with vehicles 5 and 6, which were a 2012 Ford pickup and a 1996 Chevy minivan. While all of this was occurring, the impact with vehicle 1 and vehicle 2 was about a 50% match, so they were just offset about 50%. So the left front corner of the Blazer struck the right rear corner of the Durango. That caused it to veer off towards the gas station parking lot, where it struck the landscaping cement blocks. Launched the vehicle up into an upward angle. It hit the 2 steel columns, and it started the vehicle to roll. As it came down, it crashed into the side of vehicle number 7, which was a parked, unoccupied 2005 Chrysler Town and Country van. Vehicle number 1 came to rest on its roof right next to the gas pumps. In the diagram that you have, it doesn't really show the canopy per se, just to keep the clarity, but the back end of the Blazer was essentially up against one of the gas pumps. There, it did not make contact, but it was very close. Due to the extreme damage on the Blazer, a small fire did break out. One of the first responders put that out quickly with a chemical fire extinguisher. All 5 occupants in vehicle number 2, the Dodge Durango, were taken to various hospitals, which typically we have multiple victims. They are taken to Vera and Sanford. The driver of the Chevy pickup, Tyler Sorley, was also taken to one of the local hospitals. The driver of vehicles 4, 5, and 6 were not injured in this collision. Mr. Troy M. Hahn was the victim. He was the deceased. He was pronounced dead at the scene by Rural Metro Ambulance. He's a 32-year-old resident of Sioux Falls. There's a lot of details we don't know yet. The investigation is ongoing and will be for a few days yet. We do not know what, all the details as far as why he was driving as fast as what he was. I know there's a couple of speeds that have been thrown out there. They were not from us. Like I say, we've heard some witness speeds, but it's, like I say, I don't wanna get into speculation, but I think anybody can look at the damage on these vehicles and how many vehicles were involved and how far they went. It's pretty safe to say that it was an extremely high rate of speed. I cannot tell you at this time whether alcohol, drugs, or anything else, you know, what the mental state of the driver was at this time. That's some of the stuff that's still in the investigation. I think I'll open it up to questions at this point. I think it covered most all the major points anyway. If I can tell you, I certainly will. If I can't, I say it's under investigation, so.
Jerry, were you able to talk to anybody who got a look at the Chevy Blazer a little farther south? Or did it just speed into people's views or what?
No, thank you for bringing that up. I was gonna mention that, we did receive a late report, complaint, reckless driver complaint. It actually came into our Metro Communications Center after this collision was reported by a witness that was up on 57th and west of Minnesota Avenue. Said a dark green SUV passed them in the oncoming lane at a high rate of speed. Would have been back in the what we believe is about the area of Prairie Tree, in that area. By the time they got to the top of the crest of the hill, they saw the vehicle turning and going south or going north on Minnesota Avenue. They didn't get a license plate or anything like that. It was just a dark green SUV. They continued on to their destination, called it in at that time saying, hey, you ought to know about this. Well, like I say, this had already occurred. So this vehicle had been driving at an extremely high rate of speed, you know, for distance, weaving in and out of traffic. So we did get a couple reports on that.
And you're linking that as the same vehicle?
All outward indications would be that it is.
And there's no way of knowing at this time where Mr. Holmes started from?
No.
Any idea?
You see, that's one of the things we'll still look into, and you know, trying to figure out what his path was prior to that. Give some more clues as to what was going on.
What about his destination, is that known?
It's not.
The injuries to the children, anything on that?
I do know that 2 of them were treated and released.
Do you have an age?
I probably do. One of them was 6, and let me see, this one would be less than a year, and that one would be 2 years. I know 2 of them were in child safety seats. They were transported to the whatever hospital they went to in those seats, and they were the ones that were treated and released. So safety equipment works when used properly, so we thank the people, the parents for that.